Hello Art Studio students, this is Sarah Hood, your friendly librarian. In this video, I'm going to go over some advanced search techniques for using Google when looking for credible information on the open web. Now this video is a bit long, but you probably don't need to watch all of it. You can use the table of contents to skip to the parts you'd like to watch. And you'll do that by clicking on either the little white caret at the bottom of your screen or the diagonal right-facing arrow, and you may need to move your cursor in order to see those. So the resources available to you through the SFCC library, such as the ArtStore database, other databases, and the thousands of art books that we have, will often provide enough information for your research needs, so you might not need to turn to Google and the open web all that much, but there is a lot of really good, high-quality information out there, so we wouldn't want to overlook it. So Google used to have an advanced search link right on their homepage, but in 2011 that went away. The good news is even though the link went away, the actual advanced search screen did not, but you do have to know it exists and how to find it. I'm actually not going to focus very much on the advanced search screen itself because, as you can see, it's kind of a lot to take in, but I did at least want to let you know it exists in case you want to check it out. If you do, probably the easiest way to get there is to, ironically enough, type in Google Advanced Search in the Google search box, or you can go directly to the URL at google.com/advanced_search. But for purposes of this video, I'm going to show just a few simple yet effective search strategies that you can use to help find higher quality results on Google. So I'll start first with Google's Cite operator. As you know, Google pulls up results from all kinds of websites, not just .coms. There's .org, .gov, .edu, .net, the list goes on and on. What the Cite operator allows you to do is to filter those results so that only certain kinds of websites will be fetched by Google to appear in the results list. Here's how it works. In the Google search box, type the word Cite, followed by a colon, the dot, followed by the 2 or 3 letter domain of the type of website you're looking for, in this case edu, followed by your search terms. This tells Google to only pull up .edu sites. So the Google Cite operator is a really simple yet powerful tool for filtering particular types of domains. But why exactly would you want to do this? As you probably know, not all websites are created equal in terms of quality and reliability of information. There are certain domains that are usually, although not always, more generally reliable and credible than others. .edus, .orgs, and .govs can be great places to go for open web research. Not that all .coms are bad. There are, after all, many .com museum and gallery websites that are perfectly fine places to get information from. But each of these 3 domains has its reason for being generally more reliable and credible than the average .com. .edus, of course, refer to colleges and universities. As institutions of higher learning, they generally have a reputation for scholastic excellence, some more than others. But there are some colleges and universities whose art faculty and departments are well known and highly respected either regionally or nationally or internationally. .org generally refers to nonprofit, non-commercial sites. Museums, advocacy groups, and open source projects are good examples of the typical .org. Many .orgs are simply trying to spread education and awareness of their cause, think autism, animal welfare, or human rights, but some .orgs can take that a bit further. Politics and biased content are part of today's information landscape, and not all .org websites are neutral or unbiased. In fact, really, that could be said of any of these domains, .edu, .gov, or otherwise, but I've noticed that shift the most with .orgs over the years. One of the easiest and most effective things you can do is click on a site's About Us tab and make sure you know who's responsible for the content and what that organization is really about. So we tend not to associate .gov websites with being good places to go for information about art, but they can, in fact, be just that. The Library of Congress, the National Gallery of Art, and the National Endowment for the Arts are great examples of this. The people who do the day-to-day work at these organizations, whether it's publishing educational content or the website, or doing the behind-the-scenes curation and research for that web content, they're professionals who are committed to excellence in the art field. So that's a brief overview of using Google's Cite operator. It really can be a very convenient tool for limiting thousands or even millions of results in a smart and powerful way. Okay, let's talk briefly about exact phrase searching in Google. This is when you would put double quotes outside your search terms or search phrase in order to make Google fetch results that contain all of those words in exactly that order. This can be particularly helpful for highly disciplined specific terms and phrases, as well as discipline-specific phrases that might happen to contain commonly used words. As you can see, the difference in sheer number of results could be quite striking. Although that doesn't necessarily mean that the websites listed in the first page or two of results will be starkly different. As with any tool, it requires experimentation to really get a feel for how it best works for you. Okay, let's move on to limiting Google results by publication date. Sometimes we get so used to a website that we can almost become blind to tools and buttons that have been right there in front of us the whole time. That's certainly the case with the tool button on Google. You wouldn't know what it does unless you click on it. So let's say you're interested in electronic art, but you really only want information that you know has been published within the last year so that you know it's up to date and current. So you just click the Tools button, and you'll see the Anytime drop-down menu appear. You'll click that, and you'll have a choice of several date ranges to choose from. You can even customize the date range to cover a specific period of days, weeks, months, or years. I use this feature all the time, especially for news stories that I know I've seen recently, but just can't remember exactly when. And of course, feel free to experiment with combining these search strategies. Check out some of these examples. The more limiters you use when searching, the fewer results you'll get. And sometimes less is more, because those results are highly focused and might contain exactly the information that you're looking for. And last, but certainly not least, there's Google Image Search. But to be honest, searching Google Images can be handled in much the same way as regular Google. The main thing to remember is that every search technique that's been mentioned thus far can be applied to an image search in Google. And remember, Google Images has these additional the additional tools button that allows you to further narrow your search by size, color, type of image, time, and usage rights. Also, Google Images has a reverse image search feature that I've used before, but I feel like the changes that they've made recently to how it works and how it displays its results don't lend itself to easy discovery of where an image may have originated on the internet. So instead, I've been using TinEye, which can be found at tineye.com. So what you'll do is you'll right-click on the image you'd like to search and select Copy Image Address. Go to tineye.com and paste the image address you just copied into the search box and search for it. TinEye will give you a list of results, and it's usually pretty easy within those results to find where and when that image first appeared on the web. And by the way, reverse image searching can be super helpful for determining the credibility and authenticity of some of those pesky images that crop up in your social media feeds. You know the ones where you say, wow, is that picture real? Did that really happen? With photoshopping, artificial intelligence, and computer-generated images, it is no longer possible to tell with your own eyes if an image is real or fake. Okay, I'd like to close out this video by talking about the 800-pound elephant in the room, Wikipedia. Can you use it? Should you use it? Can you trust the information you find there? Wikipedia started back in 2001, and for the first several years, there was a pretty black and white answer to those questions, and it tended to be no, don't use Wikipedia, or at least not for academic research. Because of improvements Wikipedia has made over the years, the answer today is a little less black and white, but what I tend to tell students is, number one, check with your instructor to see if they allow the use of Wikipedia. They are, after all, the ones giving you the grade on your paper or project. They might be okay with you using it, but just not actually citing it as a source. The second thing I mentioned is if you do use Wikipedia, to take what I call a top-bottom approach. If you don't know a lot about your topic and you just want to familiarize yourself with it, Wikipedia can absolutely be a great place to go for that. And having that familiarity can be really helpful when you're ready to find more in-depth, discipline-specific sources. So reading the first few paragraphs of an article can be very helpful. Depending on how controversial your topic or artist is, you'll want to keep in mind that more detailed information in the Wikipedia article that goes beyond just basic information might be biased or compromised. Again, it just depends on how controversial the topic is. One of the best uses I've found for Wikipedia is to scroll down to the bottom of the article and use those references. Sometimes those references will be hyperlinked and available on the open web. If not, the SFCC library might have access to them, and even if we don't, we can often get them for you through interlibrary loan. And one last thing, I just wanted to explain a little more in depth what information professionals like myself mean when we say open web. This is an infographic I created that explains how various kinds of content are made available on the internet. We tend to think that Google, Bing, and other search engines will give us access to everything that's available on the entire internet, but that's actually not true. Search engines like Google and Bing only give us access to the open web, which, amazingly enough, only comprises around 5%, and some experts say even less than that, of all the content on the internet. Most of the internet is comprised of what's called the deep web, which sounds kind of shady, but believe it or not, we use the deep web every day. Simply put, the deep web is content that's kept behind a wall of some type, be it a paywall, such as an online subscription to a newspaper, or a website that you're required to log into, such as your online banking, Canvas, or the library's databases like ArtStore. The deep web comprises about 90+% of the total content on the internet. And finally, we've got the dark web. And yep, that's pretty much what you're probably thinking. Hackers, the so-called online black market, things like that. Fortunately, that comprises a very small percentage of internet content. But the big point I wanted to make here is that even though there's a lot of great content available on the open web, you definitely want to take advantage of your student status and use SFCC Library's resources, both physical and online. It really opens up a wealth of information that you might not otherwise have access to. And that's it. Don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions you have. I'm in your course shell in Canvas, so you can reach me through the Canvas inbox, or you can reach out to me directly at sarah.hood@sfcc.edu, or the library's general email, which we check every day. That's library@sfcc.edu.